The epic Odyssey of Homo Sapiens, from Africa to the world. Africa witnessed the emergence and gradual spread of the earliest Homo sapiens approximately 200,000 years ago. Although pinpointing the exact initial location of Homo sapiens in Africa remains a subject of ongoing debate, it is widely accepted among scientists that Homo sapiens originated on the African continent. The reasons behind the migration of humans across Africa some 200,000 years ago, as well as the subsequent migrations away from the continent around 100,000 years ago, still hold uncertainties. One prevailing hypothesis among scientists is that factors like resource scarcity, potentially triggered by significant ecological events like prolonged droughts, might have been driving forces behind these migrations. Over the past 200 millennia, Africa has undergone numerous climate shifts, transitioning from colder and more arid conditions to periods of warmer, moister climates when the Sahara was lush with vegetation. Around 70,000 years ago, the continent experienced a cooling phase, leading to arid conditions. This may have compelled early humans to venture beyond their familiar habitats in search of food and resources. Homo sapiens were particularly well suited for such migrations due to their proficiency in crafting tools, their mastery of fire, and their development of language. While there were earlier migrations of Homo sapiens out of Africa before 70,000 years ago, these individuals would not have possessed the same mitochondrial DNA, DNA, as present-day humans. Mitochondria leave, a theoretical woman who lived in Africa approximately 170,000 years ago, serves as the common maternal ancestor for all living individuals today. Scientists were able to determine the likely time and place of our most recent common maternal ancestor by analyzing the DNA of indigenous populations in South Africa. This is possible because DNA is solely inherited from one's mother, passing from one generation to the next. Thus, we start with her in tracing the migration of modern man's ancestors. Homo sapiens embarked on a journey from East Africa to Eurasia, eventually becoming the ancestors of modern humans who settled outside of Africa. Equipped with tools, fire, and language, Homo sapiens successfully migrated to distant parts of the world. Fire served multiple purposes, such as providing warmth, warding off predators, and facilitating cooking. Tools proved indispensable for hunting, gathering food, and constructing canoes and rafts for travel. Language played a pivotal role in coordinating efforts for hunting, sharing knowledge, and navigating across seas to new continents. The expansion of hominoid brains enabled early humans to communicate effectively, resulting in the formation of intricate social structures. Without communication, effective collaboration and the construction of rafts for voyages to Australia or navigation along the coast of the Americas would have been impossible. Approximately 70,000 years ago, our ancestors left Africa, initially traversing the Arabian Peninsula and subsequently reaching the Indian subcontinent. They initially followed coastal regions in Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, and Burma, eventually arriving in Australia using rafts. The settlements in Australia provide indisputable evidence of a significant oceanic voyage approximately 50,000 years ago. The reasons and circumstances surrounding this remarkable achievement remain speculative. It is unclear whether the migration was intentional, driven by the search for new territories for sustenance and shelter, or if it resulted from being caught in monsoon winds. The boats used by ancient aboriginals were unsuitable for lengthy journeys, making bamboo rafts the most plausible option. Why didn't Homo sapiens travel west to Europe during this period? Previous attempts had been unsuccessful, likely due to the presence of Homo neanderthalensis, Neanderthals, who had inhabited Europe for over 200,000 years, thriving in terms of food and living conditions. One possible explanation for the absence of a successful migration might be competition for resources between Homo sapiens and Neanderthals, with the latter prevailing and forcing Homo sapiens to migrate eastward for survival. We will delve further into how Homo sapiens eventually managed to inhabit Europe. Homo sapiens commenced their migration into southern China around 45,000 years ago, following the movements of grazing herds. However, migration into northern China and Russia was delayed until the receding of icy glaciers. Migration also occurred in Korea and Japan around 35,000 years ago. The second significant migration, about 50,000 years ago, saw Homo sapiens moving westward from the Indian subcontinent through the Middle East and Turkey before finally reaching Europe 45,000 years ago. Unlike previous attempts, this migration proved successful, even in the presence of Neanderthals. The reasons for this success remain somewhat unclear, with evidence suggesting interbreeding between Homo sapiens and Neanderthals. Today, non-African humans carry about 1 to 2% of Neanderthal DNA. Whether interbreeding played a crucial role in Homo sapiens' success or whether they simply had superior abilities in combat and disease survival is still uncertain. Nevertheless, Homo sapiens thrived in Europe while Neanderthals eventually went extinct. The third major migration involved a northward expansion into Russia. About 25,000 years ago, our human ancestors crossed the Bering Strait, either via a land bridge that existed 25 to 16,000 years ago due to sea levels being approximately 425 feet lower than today, or by hugging the coast with boats and migrating along the western coast of Canada and the United States. Approximately 16,000 years ago, they continued southward through Central America, reaching the southernmost tip of South America 14,000 years ago. The rapid pace of migration from Canada to Argentina within 2,000 years can be attributed to Homo sapiens' experience with boats on the seas. Around 12,000 years ago, as Homo sapiens were migrating across the Americas, other groups of Homo sapiens were simultaneously on the move in the northern regions of Europe and Asia. These groups pursued herds of animals that were shifting in response to retreating glaciers. The remarkable ability of Homo sapiens to adapt and innovate through tools, fire, and language allowed them to surmount challenges and migrate to all corners of the world. Factors such as resource scarcity, ingenuity, and complex social structures all contributed to this extraordinary journey. The legacies of our human ancestors live on today as we continue to explore and push the boundaries of what is achievable. Please consider subscribing and liking for more content of this nature.